All right, so I just got top five at the recent remote duel regional, and this is a list I ended up playing. It's Mitsurugi Ryzeal. It's a budget build of the deck, which means we're not playing any Purulias, we're not playing any Meowls, and we're certainly not playing 7th Tachyon. I still think this build is probably one of the best ways you can build it, and I'll explain my thoughts on that in a moment. As for the list, it's really simple. You have your minimal Ryzeal engine, right? You have your X, your Ice, your Node, your Sword, and your one Cross, and then you have your minimal Mitsu engine as well. Kusanagi, one Saji, three of the Habakiri, three of the Prayers, one of the Ritual, and just one of the Murakumo. We're not playing Aramasa, but once again, I'll explain in a second. Your non-engine called by Improsby are just way too good. Bonfire is basically mandatory, and then your actual non-engine is what? Three Infinite Impermanence, three Droll, two Nib, three Ash, three Fua, three Valor, and two Droplet. As far as the non-engine went, they all felt fantastic this weekend. I don't think there's a single card here I would cut. Two Nib was fantastic. I think that's the right ratio for it. And two Droplet really took people by surprise. It was really, really good, especially in combination with all of these Mitsurugi quick plays you're getting and all of the advantage that you can just generate off of the Mitsurugi cards. As far as why I decided to build it like this, like without Aramasa, without like the 7th Tachyon, what it comes down to is you can now play the deck in one of two ways, right? You can play the heavy non-engine variant and you can play the heavier engine variant. You have to play one or the other because those are the only ways you are getting through like the tons of hand traps in the format, the tons of silver bullets. You can either draw enough non-engine such that you can just pass and then live on follow-up, or you can draw enough engine that you can play through it. And when I was sitting there and I was considering what this deck really lost to, which was like Droll, sometimes Fua, sometimes Purulia, even sometimes Dialis, I felt like no matter what you did, no matter how much engine you drew, you could pretty reliably get into like a detonator pass, right? And if you could reliably get into a detonator pass, that's almost always the end board you're going for, like maybe plus or minus a Habakiri and a Prayer set, depending on whether or not you have Mitsurugi engine live. So when I thought about it like that, it's like, do you really want to play more engine and end on detonator plus more follow-up, or do you want to end on detonator plus four hand traps in hand? And I really preferred the second one there. And also what it just came down to at the end of the day was, I think cards like Aramasa, cards like 7th Tachyon, cards like Dragluxion, which you use to get into 7th Tachyon, are really, really good when that combo resolves, right? When you open just Prayers and you need a crazy one-card combo, put Aramasa back in the deck, right? Put Dragluxion in the deck. You know, that gets you into your Ryzeal cards. That gets you into, like, an IP Masquerena if you don't want to play the 7th Tachyon and the Dragluxion. But also at the same time, it's like in the hands where I am drawing exactly one Prayers, do I need more than Ame plus Prayers? No, because I'm gonna have Valor, I'm gonna have Nib, I'm gonna have Ash, I'm gonna have Droplet, I'm gonna have Imperm, like, and post side I'm gonna have Bell as well. It just doesn't really matter that much, and it feels like you are playing cards that you can brick on, right? Cards you can draw in unfavorable scenarios, and cards that are just super awkward to play when you're already playing two engines that aren't like super cohesive with each other. Like Mitsurugi and Ryzeal are not that great to play together. And so that's why I've decided to play like this, and I think that's what made most of my main deck choices what they were. I just wanted to maximize on non-engine and just play the best non-engine I could, which ended up being these 19 cards here. As far as the side deck goes, you know, you're siding one Great Purification because it's so good going first. You're siding Talents because it's absurdly good going first. You're siding Crossout because it's good going first. You're siding 5 cards for the Malice matchup. I didn't think I'd see it as much. I thought people like moved away from the hype, even though Malice is still an excellent deck. I was right. I think I played 1 Malice in 7 rounds. I'm playing 2 Ghost Spell because I think this is really good into like Mitsurugi and Malice, and it's a lot better than drawing Droplet. I think Droplet is mostly here for those weird rogue matchups. Same with Lightning Storm and Harpies. These are sometimes good into Mitsurugi and Malice. Sometimes I sided them in, but a lot of the time they're more for like the rogue matchups. You know, the White Forest. That's the only rogue I played against. Gaga Cowboy is here for like obvious reasons. He does what he needs to do, which is gain attack 1,000 times and then make an opponent's monster lose 500 attack. Then if you loop him with Eclipse Twins, you can do that twice. one of your opponent's monsters can lose 1000 attack. And, sometimes that's just good enough for lethal. And, Bestial Magma and Bestial Jerusalem are your options just for the Mitsurugi mirror. Magnemud is unfortunately just, I think, too good of a card to not be playing, especially when you can make IP into SB or like Dynamondo and just start breaking boards. Your extra deck choices are pretty standard here. 1 Eclipse Ones, that's all you need. 1 Feral Imps, all you need. 1 Aggregator, all you need. 1 Detonator, all you can play. I wish I could play more. 2 Duo Drive, because I really like sending Duo Drive off X and then being immune to hand traps for the rest of the turn, basically. I think that's super nice. It makes it so that Nib is like really a non-problem. Bystials are non-problems, because if you get Bystialed on Murakumo, it's so rough. Typhon, because he's necessary, unfortunately. You just do draw awkward hands when you play this much non-engine. And then you have Zeus, because people don't expect it, and it's kind of nice when breaking boards on the crackback, especially if you get your Murakumo banished via like a Called by Zeus is super helpful. Used it to break out of the Heraldic Beast matchup. It was Detonator versus Detonator, and eventually the Zeus outed their Detonator. Well, my Detonator still had an Eclipse Twins under it while it was being sent to the graveyard, so now I'm a Detonator and 3000 damage up, and that's just too much. This package is really nice for when you just draw Mitsurugi stuff. Dugaris is unfortunately necessary. It's the card I always use when going for that long extended turn 1 combo. You just draw 2, you discard 1. It's pretty simple. Emerald is a super nice card, especially with just 1 Detonator now. People really think they can like out-resource you, out-grind the Mitsurugi cards. Oh, maybe you can't keep adding off of Ame, so they'll win eventually. Maybe they outed your Detonator, and Emerald just puts that all back. And Baguska comes up when you draw those awkward hands, and you just don't think you're playing against the deck where Detonator Pass is good enough, or Detonator Pass will get you there. So you just make Baguska, and Exiton is probably the best board breaker of all time. So ultimately, I really did like the ratios in this list. It's probably something I'll continue to tinker around and play with for a while, especially considering that you can do such neat things with it, such interesting little tidbits. I'm going to pull this up over here too, just so you can see it. Like you can play around with the ratios and see how good you're drawing. You can see how many extenders and hand traps you're drawing. This is also just like what got me to the play hand traps conclusion, which is just I'm always drawing like at least 1 extender and sometimes more than 1 extender. That usually gets me through Duel and Lockbird, so I can make that Detonator no matter what. So, yep. You're seeing that X Ryzeal more and more times as long as you play decks like this, if you're playing ratios like this. If I had Purulia or Nihilus, I probably would have played it just as a side deck slot or even like a main deck slot. I think Purulia would have been better than Droplets and probably 1 Valor, so I would take out like these 3 for Purulia, but that's about all I'd make to the deck. Overall, I'm really happy with my performance. I think top 5 was fine. 2 through 5 was all just tiebreakers, like we all had the same amount of points, so I can't really complain too much about it. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.